So Jan Blachowicz versus Alex Pereira is set to be the co-main event of UFC 291, and picking this fight is probably one of the more difficult ones to pick out of the entire card. It really all depends on what does Jan Blachowicz want to do. Does he want to strike with Pereira? Does he want to grapple with Pereira? Depending on what he chooses and what he wants to do the majority of the time will tell how this fight will go. But overall, I think I'm gonna go ahead and pick Alex Pereira in this one. I think he has a 51% chance as opposed to Blachowicz's 49%. It's that close of a fight. It really is unpredictable in a way, but I think I'm going to take Pereira just with that 1% edge to find a way maybe to TKO, to KO Blachowicz in the first round. I think he's that good because we still can't forget at the end of the day, I think that Pereira is just a flat out better striker than Israel Adesanya. I think in terms of just technique, in terms of power, in terms of reads, and pretty much all of the above, I think that he is better than Adesanya. We saw in their first matchups in the UFC, Pereira did kind of get the better of Adesanya in terms of just striking. People forget that in the first round, Pereira was winning that round. I think it was a close round, but he was winning that round slightly before he got rocked at the end of the first round. Second round was totally his round. He completely won it, and then Adesanya grappled in the third round. In the fourth round, Pereira was gassed after the grappling. But in the fifth round, he made a comeback and was putting it on Adesanya to eventually TKOing him. Then in the second fight, he won the first round, I think quite clearly, and was winning the second pretty obviously before Adesanya KO'd him out cold. So I think if Adesanya didn't ever KO Pereira, I think we're going to see a Pereira that would finish an Adesanya fairly easily. Just in terms of just straight up kickboxing, Pereira is the better kickboxer than Adesanya, but it is what it is. Sometimes you can't be open, and he got caught twice, 3 times, I think in total, and they're between their 2 fights that they had, and it sucks for Pereira. But I think overall, he's a better kickboxer than Adesanya. Just maybe not the best chin because he is too big for middleweight. But Adesanya did lose to Blachowicz, I think, in the striking department and in the grappling department. I think overall that Blachowicz definitely outclassed Adesanya. So I think that this will be a closer matchup between the two because Pereira, I think, is on a similar level to Blachowicz in terms of striking, maybe even better because he's a 2-time Glory world champion in 2 weight classes. So at the very least, I think both of these fighters are better than Adesanya in terms of striking. And I think the big what if that most people have in terms of this matchup is the grappling. Will Blachowicz be able to grapple Pereira down and control him and maybe just win a decision that way, or maybe submit him? Because again, Pereira has not been doing MMA for that long to make sure that his grappling is elite or on a sufficient level compared to some of these guys who've been doing it for forever. And maybe Blachowicz can do that, but maybe he can't. We have to look at some variables that Pereira covers that Adesanya doesn't. Again, striking wise, I think that Pereira poses a bigger threat to Blachowicz in terms of power and technique and everything else. But Pereira is also a lot of a larger man than Adesanya. We saw in their matchups together that Pereira was pretty much a lot bigger, way bigger than Adesanya in the octagon. He was pretty much able to walk him down and impose his size onto Adesanya. So maybe that allows him to have some extra power, especially at 205 when he's not taking as bad of a weight cut, but have that extra size to be able to stuff the takedowns of Blachowicz. And the styles are kind of different. Pereira is more that kind of guy who's gonna walk you down and try to land a nasty left hook on you and put you out cold and land leg kicks while walking you down, just impose his size and his will against the cage against you. Adesanya is more of a tit for tat kind of guy, kind of on the outside sort of, while Pereira is more of an aggressive style. So that might play a factor, and maybe Blachowicz will shoot a bag takedown backing up against Pereira. That can totally be a possibility. It is 100% easier to shoot a takedown on a guy who you're backing up as opposed to a guy who's pressuring you. So I can see maybe Blachowicz having a more difficult time trying to get Pereira down because Pereira can be walking him down, can be putting pressure on him, back him up against the cage, landing left hooks. And again, I think we can all definitely 100% agree that Pereira's power is way better than Adesanya's. He has way more heat in that left hook than Adesanya does. Even though he KO'd him out cold, I think that Pereira's will and size and mass and power is overall better than Adesanya's. So if Pereira's landing shots on Blachowicz, maybe he gets a bit timid, a bit scared of the power, as opposed to Adesanya, who was pretty much kind of going tit for tat with him, not landing too many power shots against Blachowicz, whereas the Pereira will land those power shots and really make you fear his power. So that might be another factor in terms of this fight, and maybe Blachowicz just can't take it. We don't know. Maybe he can't. He is getting older. He's up there in age. I believe he is 40 years old, or somewhere around the age of 40. He is exactly 40 years of age. He was born in 1983. And saying that, I know that Teixeira was a champion at 42, I believe. So it's not the end of the world when you're 40 years old at light heavyweight. But I think as time goes on, you become less durable. You take more damage. You're not as tough as you usually are when you're 40 years old compared to when you're younger. You know, things hurt more as you take more shots later in your career. And a guy like Pereira landing shots on you is going to be a whole different animal, a whole different monster than an Adesanya and maybe a Glover. It's going to be a whole different monster. And I know Blachowicz is a Muay Thai national champion, I think in Poland. Great Muay Thai fighter, and he has that kickboxing background. But I think when you're fighting a guy who's a two-time world champion, Glory Kickboxing world champion, not only in one division, but two divisions, it's a different monster, just a complete different monster than anybody striking. So I think Blachowicz is going to have to really impose his grappling game. And I think that we've seen Pereira train with Teixeira, they kind of rhyme, their names do, but they've been training for a long time together now. Like, honestly, I know that Pereira's new to the game, but he's been doing a lot of grappling, a lot of work with Teixeira. So I can only assume that he's been going extremely hard in the gym. We saw him in a creek almost drown Teixeira. Like, he's definitely trying to get better at his grappling. I think he has improved because he is still new to the game. And when you're new to the game, you can improve quicker because you're not, you're still learning. When you get older in your career, you're not learning as much. You're kind of just trying to keep your skills or maybe get slight improvements. But when you're totally new to the game, you're going to improve quicker. It's like newbie gains in the gym. Whenever you go to the gym for the first time, you get a huge amount of mass, and after a while, it slows down. Your gains kind of go away, or they just kind of slowly ramp up as compared to when you're first new. So I can still kind of see Pereira getting those newbie gains of grappling in his game, and I think Blachowicz will have a little bit of a difficult time trying to get this man down. But can he get him down? Definitely can. And if he gets him down and holds him down for maybe a round or two, we did see Pereira, again, like I mentioned before, we did see Pereira slow down against Adesanya in the striking department. He wasn't as active. He was taking body kicks. That's why Adesanya won the 4th round in their first match in the UFC. But I will say this, Blachowicz is also no joke, completely no joke in terms of his legendary Polish power. Like, he is he can hit hard as well. And Pereira is open. Whenever he gets a bit too cocky sometimes, or a bit too, I wouldn't say flustered, but he gets a bit too aggressive whenever he has somebody backed against the cage. That's how you get killed by Adesanya. And we saw in some sparring and training footage, all the times he gets caught by a jab or maybe a 1-2 all the time whenever he's backing somebody's against the cage. So I can definitely see maybe him being a bit too aggressive against Blachowicz and getting countershotted and put out cold again, because maybe his chin after that, it's only been 3 months. It's only been 3 months since he was KO'd completely out cold against Adesanya. 3 months is a very quick turnaround from getting KO'd out cold. And Blachowicz has had his time off. He fought Magomed Ankalaev, which some people kind of disagree with that decision. I think it was a draw in the first place. But overall, he's had some time off. He's had some, weird win against Rakic, where I think Rakic blew out his ACL. He's coming back soon as well. But, Blachowicz has had some time off to really recover, have a good training camp for this one. So I am worried that maybe Blachowicz will come in there more fresh than a Pereira will. But it pains me. He's 40 years old. He's going to be 41 probably here soon. I don't know when, but he is 40 years old and taking a power shot from Pereira, who will land. I don't care when it's going to happen. He will eventually land on that chin of Blachowicz. Can he take the power shots of Pereira? Can that chin stay solid in terms of just taking a shot for him? Like, I don't know. It's completely random. And we know that Blachowicz is good on the feet. Like, he's able to out kickbox Adesanya at range and then grapple with him. So, like, it's I don't know. Like, this is one of the more more difficult fights to predict, I think, ever. I literally have it 51% Pereira and 49% Blachowicz, and you can definitely flip that around. You can definitely convince me that Blachowicz is going to win this fight. It's just way too hard to predict, but I'm going to take Pereira. I think he's been training hard. I think his newbie gains are going to be coming in. He's going to show really good takedown defense, I think, or at least halfway decent. Maybe he might catch Blachowicz. I don't think this fight will really be a war. I think it's either going to be a 5-round boring decision from Blachowicz just grappling him, or a first-round KO from either one, mainly Pereira. I think he's a better threat to KO Blachowicz than he does him. So I think this will not be a crazy war. It'll be either a quick fight or a boring decision. But overall, it should be a great fight to watch. I can't wait for it. I can't wait enough to watch this. I think the winner fights Jiri Prochazka maybe in December for the light heavyweight belt. Maybe early next year, maybe January, maybe even February, who knows. But I think the winner of this matchup fights Jiri Prochazka because Jamal Hill did vacate his belt because he tore his Achilles. He ruptured his Achilles, which is a long time off. It's a really bad injury to get. And light heavyweight's also in shambles right now. So I think the winner gets Jiri Prochazka for the belt. And hopefully it's Pereira, because we know if he ends up beating Jiri, just that fight alone is also a crazy matchup. You're like, holy shit, these guys, Prochazka versus Pereira is going to be absolute fireworks. It's going to be insane. But if Pereira managed to get that done, then we might see an Adesanya trilogy, which could be absolutely massive for the UFC. You know the UFC is definitely 100% pulling for that to eventually happen. Will it happen? I don't know. The stars really have to align for that, or maybe the UFC might go behind the scenes and try to fluke some shit. That would definitely make the sport 10 times more interesting to watch. Can't wait for it. But Pereira probably gets it done. I don't know. That's all I have for you guys today. Thank you guys for watching up to this point. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button and hit that bell icon for notifications if you enjoyed this video. I would greatly appreciate it. Alex Pereira gets it done in one. KOs Blachowicz out in the first round. I'm out of here. Peace.